Hey there, it's Brittany Chavers and I'm back with some beautiful Jesse James beads today. We are going to make a necklace. I'm going to be using the Winter Wonderland bead mix, the evergreen bead strand. I just love these beads, and a pendant from Jesse James Beads. I also have some fiber chain that came out of one of the Magical Mystery bead boxes. We're going to be making a fun holiday inspired or winter inspired necklace today. I'm going to cut open my products here. I'm also going to be using some chain reaction today. Not sure if I'm going to use the crystals, but I'm definitely going to be using the little squiggles on this. And I'm going to start by taking this apart and using it to create some dangles on our pendant. Oh, loving that briolette. We're going to use that. We are going to use the pearls, some bead caps, and this beautiful ruby and zoisite gemstone bead, along with some more bead caps. Then I am going to use a bead cap as a bead on the ends. So you'll see what I'm doing with that in just a moment. First, I'm going to take some 22 gauge German style wire from Beadalon. I'm going to wire wrap my briolette. So I'm going to slide this wire through and pull it up on both sides, and then wrap, well, bring the longer piece up to the middle, and then wrap my shorter piece right around my longer piece just a couple times to get it connected, and then I'll trim that. So there we go. Okay, and then I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to take my nippers and cut a length of chain here, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4 links. Let's see if that's the length I kind of want. I think I only want 3. Yeah, I think I only want 3 links here. So I'll just set the 4th link aside. We can use that in our pendant still. Okay, and then I'm going to wire wrap right onto my chain. So I'm going to take my pliers, bend backwards, reposition my pliers, bend forwards with my wire, and then bring that to the back, and we've created a loop. And then I'll go ahead and take my chain and slide that on before I start wrapping. And then I will hold on to my little loop with my pliers again, making sure that that chain stays in the loop. And then I'm just going to wrap around my briolette. And then I'm going to go down towards the bead. And you can use as much wire or as little wire as you'd like. I am going to bead down my briolette like this. Okay. Isn't that cute? Very elegant. I'm going to come back around just a little bit over that hole on the side. So down to the hole, and then I'm going to come back up the back and just wrap around once. And twice. Until it looks the way I'd like it to look, and I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to trim in the back. We have our first part of our dangle. Isn't that beautiful? And then we'll connect that to the pendant using a jump ring. we go. So we have a beautiful drop. And if that's a little too long for you, just take off another link. I'm going to test it out with the other beads. So for the next bead up, I'm going to use 2 links and wire wrap on a ruby and zoisite bead. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's a little different than wrapping the briolette. So I have 2 links here. And I'll take a head pin. This one is a ball head pin. And then I'm going to put on a bead cap. And wire wrap this just like we did with that other wire right onto that chain. Hold our link and hold our loop and then start wrapping. Okay, and we'll attach with a jump ring. I'll do the exact same thing with the pearl right here, and then I'm going to take a jump ring and attach my last bead cap as if it's a regular bead. So I'll show you what I mean. Take my jump ring, throw my bead cap on the jump ring right here, and then I will attach right here. Now that bead cap's floating there like it's a flower bead. All right, so I will attach green bead. And then I will use one connector to attach my pearl. And I'll mirror that same pattern on the other side. All right, here's our pendant, and I've added 2 jump rings at the top. I just like how full it looks with 2 jump rings instead of 1. Here's our pendant with our dangles. And then I took a piece of 22 gauge German style wire, and I did a wire wrapped loop at one end, and I've curved it a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect starting off. I'm just gonna load some beads on. And then once I get to that point, I am going to load on my pendant. And then I am going to do the same pattern going back up the other side. And then I'm going to do another wire wrapped loop on this side. Okay, so we have a little beaded bail, and then I am going to go ahead and take some 19 strand bead-along bead stringing wire, and I am going to string on the beads from the evergreen strand. And right after this spacer, I am going to put on the first loop of my bail that I created here. I'm just going to slide that down, and then I am going to put on the next 3 or 4 beads. So we have that gold spacer, and then another boho bead, these are so cute. So I strung my 5 beads, and then I'm going to come through the other loop on my bail. And I will end up making sure that it's pushed in enough to where we won't see any gaps between the beads once we are finished stringing. And then I'm just going to go ahead and string the rest of those beads on. And then I am going to, like I said, pinch this inwards a little bit so it'll become a little bit longer but a little bit less wide. And that's, so now it'll hang below the boho bead. I wanted the boho bead to also be a focal, but I didn't want to end up hanging this pendant from the boho bead like I would typically do on another necklace. So here I'm just going to take a crimp bead or crimp tube. I'm going to slide my crimp tube on my wire. I'm going to come over with my fiber chain, come back through, and I will crimp onto my fiber chain, making sure those pieces aren't crossed. You squeeze, and then you turn 90 degrees, move it up in our pliers, and squeeze again. And then squeeze one more time. And we'll come down through one bead. And fortunately, the hole on this bead is large enough for my crimp tube to go through, so it's actually going to be hiding that connection point a little bit. I am going to trim my wire, slide everything down, and then connect onto the other side of the chain with my other side of my wire. Now I will decide how long I want this necklace to be after I crimp onto that side, and I can always add a clasp, or if you want it to be an over the head necklace, you can just use the entire amount of chain. Come through, back down through my crimp tube. Now I want to come through this bead right here so I can adjust it, adjust the length of the wire. I'm going to keep a hold of my crimp tube and the chain because I don't want that crimp tube hiding inside my bead yet. And then I'm going to pull everything pretty tight, but not too tight that it won't drape well. So I'm going to keep it like this while I'm pulling tight. I'm actually going to pull this one a little bit tighter than I typically would, because this bead cap or this crimp tube is going to end up inside this bead, and that's just going to show some more, it's going to show extra string. And then we'll turn 90 degrees and crimp again. And do it one more time. And then we will trim that wire. Like you said, there's a little bit of a gap, but once the necklace is being worn, you're not going to notice that. And actually, I think this is a pretty good length. It is not long enough to go over my head. So what I'll do is just line up these two pieces right here and then find the middle in the back of my chain and snip that. And then we'll just add on a jump ring on one side and a clasp on the other. There we go. I love it. It's so beautiful. Very boho meets holidays. Love it. And then we're just going to make a really fast pair of easy earrings. I'm going to take that same 22 gauge wire and do a wire wrapped loop around one of the blossom, or around the flower charm that was in the bead mix. Slide that on. Hold the loop. Do a couple twists. And then I'm going to use this fun pine cone bead, this crystal rondelle, this sheriff star spacer, one of the little bling balls, some nice bead stacked earring, and a crystal. And I am just going to do a wire wrapped loop at the top. And wire wrap that closed. I'll go a little messy on this one. We have our beautiful stacked pair of Winter Wonderland earrings to go with our boho evergreen necklace. I had a ton of fun with these beads. They're so gorgeous. The pieces just make themselves. So thanks to Jesse James Beads for having me back, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. See you next time. Bye-bye. Cutie. Hello. You just loafing in your bed? Okay.